The real heroes of this war are the great, brave, patient, nameless people. Whitelaw Reid. The connections to the Children's Aid Society of New York will never fail to astound me. Countless famous figures throughout the history of the orphan train movement, from the Roosevelts to the Astors, the Vanderbilts to the Morgans, were never far from the Society's doors. Connections to the great circus families, singers, sewing machine moguls, and opera stars can be found listed amongst the donors of the CAS. One such friend of the Society was Whitelaw Reid, a man who served many well-known men throughout his life, and greatly affected the success of the Children's Aid Society and the United States of America. His influence would not only affect orphan train riders, but the recordings of the Civil War, political negotiations, and diplomacy. Born in Xenia, Ohio in 1837, Whitelaw Reid was the son of pioneer farmers Robert and Marion Reid. He was provided an excellent education at nearby Miami University, where he was an active member of Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity. After graduating with honors in 1856, Reid would enter the field of journalism, which would thrust him on a path of notoriety and the political world stage. His first step into the world of journalism was at his hometown newspaper, the Xenia News, as editor and publisher. Whitelaw Reid's political life began in the late 1850s, where he supported the Free Soil movement. The Free Soil Party was a short-lived political party built around the single issue of opposing the expansion of slavery into Western territories. He continued his political activities into the 1860s presidential election and actively campaigned for Abraham Lincoln. With the start of the Civil War, Whitelaw Reid joined the Cincinnati Gazette as a Civil War reporter. Reid spent part of the war as a Washington, D.C. correspondent, and here he made invaluable political connections. Reid not only reported on the war, but spent time as a librarian for the House of Representatives and clerk of the House Military Committee. It is clear Reid supported the North during the Civil War, as he celebrated legislators who backed black suffrage and immediate emancipation. His reports on the battles of Shiloh and Gettysburg brought him to the attention of the famous Horace Greeley, founder and editor of the New York Tribune. Reid would finally take Greeley up on his many job offers and join the staff of the Tribune in 1868. Only 4 years later, in 1872, Reid's friend and mentor Greeley passed away. Reid would then take controlling interest of the Tribune and took over as editor, continuing the newspaper's reputation as a, quote, potent instrument of public opinion, with subscribers throughout New York, the country, and the upper class of New York City. Whitelaw Reid served as an instrumental figure in the Immigration Department of the Children's Aid Society of New York from 1879 to 1882. He fundraised for the Immigration Department and personally oversaw the placement of children. In some cases, he would help select the children to go west and write the advertisements for placing out meetings. In 4 years, he helped raise money to place out approximately 570 children and raised over $6,600, the equivalent to over $168,000 today. Reid's aid did not end with donations. He also wrote about the Immigration Department's programs in the New York Tribune, which captured the reader's attention, heart, and pocketbook. This publicity led to donations and gave an outlet for stories about the Children's Aid Society to be shared with the public. His early financial and public support of the Family Emigration Program kept families intact and created a strong foundation for the program. While it has not been made clear how Whitelaw Reid came to be involved in the Children's Aid Society, it is not surprising after learning of his political connections that tie him to the Society's founder, Charles Loring Brace. In 1874, Brace sat on the board of the National Prison Association with a number of soon-to-be very famous gentlemen. The Honorable Rutherford B. Hayes, soon-to-be 19th President of the United States, the Honorable James A. Garfield, 20th President of the United States, and Theodore Roosevelt Sr., his friend, and father of future President Teddy Roosevelt. Whitelaw Reid would be offered diplomatic posts in Germany under both Presidents Hayes and Garfield, but turned down both posts. He would accept the position of U.S. Ambassador to France under President Benjamin Harrison, and served from 1889 to 1892. Reid left his post in 1892 to run as the Republican vice president nominee with President Harrison, but they lost the election. In April 1898, the Spanish-American War began. Through the New York Tribune, Reid supported President William McKinley. The Tribune at the time was, quote, the most respected and influential Republican newspaper in the country, and, quote, held great weight with President McKinley. Reid's support would not go unnoticed. In August 1898, Reid and 4 other men were appointed to the American delegation to negotiate the Treaty of Paris. Reid's previous position as ambassador to France, his ability to speak French, his ease at moving in European society, and negotiation skills gained from years in politics, the press, and fundraising fields helped to ease tensions and present the American position. Whitelaw Reid's political life was not over after the signing of the Treaty of Paris. Although he had to wait for his desired post as the ambassador to the United Kingdom, it was fulfilled under President Theodore Roosevelt in 1905. While Reid did not fully support Roosevelt's actions to become the Western Hemisphere's, quote, policeman, the Tribune had supported Roosevelt's New York gubernatorial campaign in 1898. The two came to terms after Roosevelt had sought advice from Reid and backed his vice presidential campaign. The two were considered close allies, and their families were close. Reid would serve as ambassador to the United Kingdom until his death in 1912. Whitelaw Reid and his wife Elizabeth Mills raised 2 children, Ogden and Jean Reid. The couple was social and known for their parties. Whitelaw is remembered for his numerous high society club memberships, his time as a Stanford University Board of Trustee, and for Manhattanville College in Purchase, New York, located on his former Westchester estate. What fails to make his biographies, it seems, is his work with the Children's Aid Society. The 1883 annual report of the CAS may shed some light on why. Quote, exposed to a great deal of petty abuse for his benevolent efforts in this direction of fundraising, but if he could travel through the states of Kansas and Iowa, he would be abundantly compensated by seeing the great numbers of young men and women who have been saved from poverty and vagrancy and have gained useful positions through his instrumentality. Whitelaw Reid may be remembered for his diplomacy over his philanthropy on the world stage, but across the Midwest, many families today have him to thank for their homes in the heartland.